We tried a lot of trying to connect along the Pacific from, I'm going to say San Francisco directly south to come out by Santa Rosa, Leah.
Yeah.
And never really got that done, but seen some pretty nice places along the way as we were trying to connect those. So that's an area I would definitely want to come back and try. I guess the other area that was, and I think it's grown up a little bit more now than when we were down there, but there's an area north of La Paz that if you go up and stay to the Gulf side and go up as far as you can, there's some areas in there that are just beautiful. I know that Sal and I came over from Highway 1 and tried to connect some stuff, and we ended up on the side of a mountain going up a road that when we finally made it to the top and talked to some of the local people, they were surprised that we had went up that road because no one had been on it forever and ever and ever. And it was pretty scary getting there.
Yeah, there's some beautiful stuff out there to the east of San Luis Gonzaga. And I can't remember the name of some of those little. There's a couple of roads that run east of San Luis Gonzaga out to the Sea of Cortez that are. It's a dead end. You get out to a little fishing village, and it's not like you can go north or south from there. And I can't remember the name of some of those, but some of the southern Baja racing organizations put on races out in that area, and there's some beautiful, beautiful terrain that eventually comes into the San Juan de los Planos area, I think is what it's called. But north of that, there's really there's that area that I think Cameron and other people call the Baja Grand Canyon area, which is another amazing. And they ran through there for the Baja 2000, if I remember right.
Yes, I believe you're correct. I believe you're correct.
So Frank, as a cowboy and a guy who has spent his life on horses, and I think we've had this conversation before. You obviously have logged thousands, if not tens, and maybe even hundreds of thousands of miles with four wheels. Is there a part of you that wants to see any of it on horseback?
Oh, absolutely. I have a goal in life, and that goal is I want to ride in trail ride on horses in all 50 states. I've got 23 done. And when I retire, that's another one of my goals to ride in the other states. But I also would love to do some trail riding in Mexico, and I've already chosen an area that I think would be awesome to do, and I've made some friends in that area, and so I have kind of an open invitation, and that would be in the Sierra de San Pedro Matir mountain area.
Yep.
I just think I could go up there and get lost for a week on horseback pretty easily.
Frank, have you heard of Graham McIntosh?
Sounds familiar. I think
I brought his name up when we were with Sal the other night back in South Carolina. Graham, he was actually on the podcast here a couple months ago. He is an English guy who his claim to fame, if you will, and he'll argue all day long that there's no fame involved, but he circumnavigated the peninsula on foot in 1983. And
didn't he have a burro?
Well, there's another. So he's written 4 books, I believe, and there's one about his trek on foot that I believe is called Into a Desert Place, and then there's another one that he wrote about his time with the burro. But then he has another book that he wrote that is, I think he took 2 or 3 Baja dogs and went up into San Pedro Martir and camped and lived and explored for like 6 months up in the area around the observatory and all around there. And if you're a reader, I haven't read that book. I've got the Into the Desert Place and I've started it, but I have not gotten all the way through it. But it's funny. He is definitely among the folklore of modern day Baja explorers. There's a lot of people that know who he is and who have read his books. And if you're interested in that area, I would recommend, because it sounds like he knows his stuff when it comes to exploring San Pedro Martir area.
Well, I will have to I'll have to take you up on that and find his books. You say he's written 4 books?
It's 4 books, yeah. Into a Desert Place. There's another one where it's got Cerveza in the title, and it's something about being on one of the islands off of La Paz, where he had a friend flying over, I believe, dropping supplies to him, and he stayed for a couple of months, and I guess he had one of the deals with his buddy was that he would drop beer to the island or something for him. I got to read the book so I don't sound like an idiot when I'm talking about it, especially if there are people that have read the books. But yeah, he's got four books. He's working on a 5th, if I remember right. Interesting guy, great guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, so Frank, as time has passed, and 1979. The Baja Peninsula was a much different place, as we've already talked about, than it is today. How do you feel about that?
Well, since the first time was down in Baja and then made the Peninsula run in '79. I was telling you we spent the time in San Ignacio. Well, from there we went on down to La Paz to pick up the race vehicles, and that trip, I thought we had seen it all, and then we leave San Ignacio and we head down the peninsula farther south, and there were a couple places along the way where the paved road stopped, and there were just tracks out into the desert, and we would stop and get on the top of the semi and kind of look out over the desert to try and see which way the tracks went and what looked like the best way to get there. And we did that. So, truly an adventure. But then you get down by Santa Rosalia and Mulahey and Loreto and see the different mountainous areas. And, again, just real beauty all the way down. That year, the race ended in La Paz, of course, and we spent some time there and then headed back up. Well, 3 years later in '82, went back down for the Peninsula run, ended up in La Paz, but from there we spent extra time and went on down to Cabo San Lucas. And in '82, Cabo San Lucas was still a little sleepy fishing village, if you will, like a lot of places down there were back then. Today you go and you look, and Cabo San Lucas is a destination place for tourists. I have mixed feelings on that. I seen it when it was very basic, a very simple life, something that I really cherish and like, and now see it that, there's paved roads and
Costco and Walmart.
Yeah. Even if you look at Ensenada, the place where the Baja races start and many times finish, it's always been a decent-sized city, but it never had McDonald's or Home Depots or Walmarts or anything. Now it does. And I understand growth, and I am sure that those kinds of businesses have helped Baja grow. But there's also a part of me that doesn't like to see that. The last couple times we were out mapping for a peninsula run, the number of roads that are now paved down there is unbelievable. It seems like there was like a 10-year period where there was a big sale on concrete and all these roads going from Highway 1 into little fishing villages and towns that used to be dirt roads got paved in that 10 or 12-year period of time. And, part of me hates to see that.
The off-road racer in us hates to see that, and we can always harken back to Mama Espinosa's famous quote of good roads bring bad people and bad roads bring good people. But in the same breath, every one of us that is an off-roader, we cannot argue with the fact that if you have to travel a road every single day, if you have a choice to use your daily driver on a graded or on a paved or cement road versus a dirt road, you're going to choose the paved road if it's part of daily life. And I mean, it's a very commonly referred to question in today's world of, remember how it was in the past, and it's in some ways it was better than it is today, and is progress good and all of that. And I think that it's a commonly asked question, and the answer is pretty much always the same. But at the end of the day, one thing that I think is special about Baja and interesting about Baja, and I had this shared with me by a Mexican friend of mine who's an attorney, and that is that, Mexico's a big country, and mainland Mexico, the majority of the Mexican people have looked at Baja in the past as this kind of this forbidden land. I mean, the frontera is what's on the license plates, and it's kind of a literal translation into English, the frontera, or frontier. What we have going for us, those of us that don't want to see it developed, is that it is way behind when it comes to development because it's been disregarded by the country as this wasteland. And only recently, in the modern world of rustic luxury travel, and now just the building that's taking place in southern Baja, has it truly become a destination resort for anybody. It used to be reserved for people like you and I that wanted the rugged adventure, and less and less that it's or more and more that's becoming not the case. But I think that hopefully there still is a time period of balance between a better life for the locals. The fishermen that have to travel those roads, you got to believe they're much happier. Their vehicles, if nothing else, are much happier that they get to travel on a paved road versus a dirt road. But it is it's a common theme that we ask ourselves. And there's always the story that people talk about that's been twisted and turned around in a lot of different ways of, the fisherman that runs into the modern man, and we want to call him the gringo or the American, but it could be anywhere, that he's going out and catching enough fish for his family on a daily basis, and life is simple and happy, and the American comes in and says, well, let's get another boat, and you can catch more fish, and then you can sell the leftover, and the simple fisherman says, well, why? What do I need that for? And well, then you can sell it and have money and have more free time, and the simple fisherman says, but I already got that. And I think there's a balance. The one thing that I believe, at least about the Baja culture, I can't speak for Mexico in total, because like the United States, the states themselves have much different cultures. But I do believe that the true cholleros, which is how they refer to themselves, the people from Baja, they still value that simple lifestyle, and will hold on to it as long as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's probably one of the things that I cherish about Baja and the people of Baja. And these people are happy doing what they do and having what they have for the most part. I've seen a lot of progress over 41 years, and I understand the necessity of it and how it does help them. But at the same time, sometimes I just cringe thinking that now other people, it's going to bring more people down, I guess. The one section of road in San Felipe that, goes down.
I almost want to stop you right now, because I don't want people knowing that road's even existing right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, continue on.
Yeah, it used to be only true Baja Explorer type people that loved Baja would go down south of San Felipe to Gonzaga, Portositas, and camp and enjoy, some of the beaches and bays along